It's Elisa from LA Woman Tours, and I'm in Hollywood at Longpre Park, which is located on Longpre Avenue. Both are named after French painter Paul de Longpre, whose Rose Garden was the first ever tourist attraction in Hollywood. If you thought this episode was about Paul de Longpre, it would be a perfectly reasonable assumption, but you would be wrong. Today, we're talking about silent screen movie idol Rudolph Valentino and the statue that was erected in his memory in 1930. Originally opened in 1924, Longpre Park is one of the oldest parks in Hollywood. Shortly after Valentino's death in 1926, fans began to lobby for some sort of tribute to him. It's difficult to exaggerate the impression Valentino had on the public in the 1920s. As one of the earliest movie stars, the impact of seeing someone who is literally larger than life on a screen was new, and the influence was vast, because now there was a medium that could legitimately unite the nation, if not the world, because for the first time, everyone was watching the same thing. Because the movie industry was so new, actors were not seen as they are today. There was a carryover from the theater days, and fine, upstanding citizens looked down at actors as a lower class. Needless to say, the idea of building a monument to an actor did not go over well with much of the general public. But another portion of the public was persistent, and an early version of what we would now call crowdfunding launched to help raise money. Fox executive Joseph Skank announced in newspapers that folks could send in money to help fund a memorial, and send in money they did. It wasn't an easy sell to the city of Los Angeles, though. The City Park Commission rejected the idea of a statue honoring an actor. It wasn't until threats were made to move the statue to Chicago or New York that the city of Los Angeles finally gave in and agreed to a Rudolph Valentino memorial on one condition: the statue was not allowed to resemble the actor. Once enough money was raised to fund a memorial, artist Roger Burnham was hired to create a statue. Burnham and actress Dolores Del Rio dedicated the statue on what would have been Valentino's 35th birthday, May 5th, 1930. Approximately 300 people were on hand to witness the ceremony. The monument depicts an Egyptian-style man looking upward to the sky. As for the stipulation that the figure not look like Valentino, mission accomplished. Here are some quick facts about the Valentino Memorial statue. The name of the art piece is Aspiration. The male figure is 6 feet tall and stands on a marble sphere and base. The total cost was $66,000. The statue was molded in bronze and plated in gold. Sometime between 1930 and 1935, a fountain was built around the memorial. It can easily be seen in the 1935 short subject movie Hoi Polloi, starring the Three Stooges. After a disastrous dance lesson with actress Geneva Mitchell, all Three Stooges and their instructor jump from a window and land in a fountain. That fountain is Aspiration, and it is clearly visible in the background. If you grew up watching the Three Stooges as I did, you probably remember this movie. Over the next 2 decades, Aspiration did not have an easy time. A neighbor complained about it to the city, and a woman who sent in money said the statue had cost less than the amount of donations taken in, and she wanted a partial refund. She won that, by the way. Then, at some point, the fountain was filled in. But there were more serious issues to contend with. The figure had been defaced more than once over the years. On February 2nd, 1952, the statue was found lying on the ground. A vandal had actually gone to the trouble to break it off its base. The city had enough and put the statue into storage for safekeeping, where it remained until 1978. This was the same year that Los Angeles not only reinstalled the original Aspiration Memorial, but also erected a new bust of Valentino by artist Richard Ellis. Unlike the 1930 memorial, this sculpture was molded to look exactly like the man it was created in honor of. Before I sign off, I just want to share another bit of history associated with the Longpre Park. In 1961, a young songwriter named Jerry Fuller was sitting in the park while waiting for his wife to get off work. It was something he did regularly, but on one particular day, he sat down with a world atlas and wrote a song called Travelin' Man. Fuller was a big fan of singer Sam Cooke, and that's who he had in mind to record it when he was writing. Fuller recorded a demo of the song with himself singing and a session guitar player backing him up by the name of Glenn Campbell. Yes, that Glenn Campbell. Then he managed to score a meeting with Sam Cooke's manager, J.W. Alexander, who promised to listen to the recording as soon as Jerry Fuller left. The bad news was that J.W. Alexander threw away the demo after listening to it. The good news is that he actually did listen to it, and bassist Joe Osborne happened to overhear the song from another room. Joe Osborne was working with Ricky Nelson at the time and thought it would be perfect for him. Joe stepped in and asked about the song. J.W. Alexander pulled the demo out of the trash and handed it over, saying, "You can have it." Ricky Nelson went on to record Travelin' Man, and it hit #1 on the charts and became one of his most famous recordings. So there you have the story of one of the most beloved pop songs of the early 1960s, as well as why there are 2 seemingly random Rudolph Valentino memorials in this small park. If you you ever happen to find yourself in the neighborhood, stop by and say hello to both Valentinos. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time.